It has never been easier to kickstart your real estate investing career than it is right now. This is the year that everything changes. I'm going to save you years of frustration by showing you exactly how that I would fast track my progress and jump ahead of 99% of others if I had to start over right now. It took me over 10 years to build up my multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio, and the first few years were brutal. But it doesn't have to be that way for you. It takes 3 stupidly simple steps that I wish I had taken so much earlier. But before you can take those steps, you need to understand something really important that's explained by a quote from Sam Ovens. People don't have business problems, they have personal problems that reflect in their business. You can't solve the issues in your business without first solving the underlying personal issues that you're facing that you have to solve. The first time that I heard that quote, it stung pretty hard because it couldn't be more true. Anytime that my business or investments have struggled, it's always been because of some sort of chaos in my personal life. To better understand exactly what areas of your personal life are holding you back, you need to look at this method that I call the Mosy method. And so according to Alex from Mosy, entrepreneurship is about acquiring skills, beliefs, and character traits. And that no matter what business that you're in, at least one of these 3 areas is holding you back, maybe more than one. And that's why today I will be covering the right skills that you should utilize to create values for others, the limiting beliefs that you need to overcome that you may not even be aware you have, and then traits, habits, and behaviors that can make or break any business owner no matter what asset class you're in. You can't get the most out of your business or investment without addressing these 3 areas. The good news is that you don't have to do it alone. Now you have a method to follow. Imagine for a moment that I'm your personal trainer and that you've hired me to create a workout plan that guarantees that you'll hit the goals if you just stuck with the plan. You knew for sure the results would be what you wanted. Of course, the action would be to just trust in the plan and let the results speak for themselves. If you switch things up every few weeks because something new or exciting comes along to distract you, you would never make consistent progress. This is intuitive in the context of working out and following a nutrition plan, but for some reason in the business, we miss it. So with that in mind, let's jump into the 3-step plan so that you can get the success that you want this year. To begin with, we're going to utilize the power of 1. So let me explain. When I started getting involved in real estate investing, the information was complete overload. It was insane. There were so many options to choose from. I was completely overwhelmed by all the different voices out there, different markets, different strategies, different asset classes, different ways of making money left or right, not to mention the different voices in the industry all screaming from the rooftops that their answer was right. Oftentimes, the stories conflicted. So what did I do? Well, of course, I tried everything. Lease options, sub-2, single family, Airbnb. If it can be done in real estate, I did it. And it had me running in circles. I wasted so much time and energy experimenting with all these different strategies. And I wish someone had just told me, just slapped me across the head and said, dude, pick a discipline, stick with it, get good at one thing. And once I actually did that, that's when things started changing for me. So here's how to avoid making the same mistakes that I did. So first off, pick one market, one asset class, and one investment strategy. This combination is going to be your sole focus when it comes to any type of real estate investing that you're going to do this year. So step number 1 is to pick your physical geographic market. So this is the area that you're going to have the properties in. This is going to be your target market. I always strongly suggest that new investors start with actually what they know. So you want to select a market where you live or where you grew up, or maybe went to college. Maybe your spouse lived there. You went on vacation, something. You know the market. You know the streets, the zip codes, the county. Because the single hardest part of getting started in real estate investing in any sort of asset class is developing your local network in the region where you're going to be doing your investing. So the more people that you know in that given area and the more that you know about the area, the better the advantage you're going to have. The biggest mistake I see investors making is they spread their attention out over 3 or 4 different markets at once when they get started. It makes no sense. We just had a client who works in Huntington, Virginia, in the larger tri-state area, and only after a few months of marketing, he switched all the way over to Corpus Christi, Texas, thousands of miles away. And he told me this strategy doesn't work in my market. I said, well, how many calls did you actually make? He said, I made about 30 phone calls. Well, how many actual people did you get on the phone and talk to? 7. So you're telling me that you only talked to 7 people, you only made 30 phone calls, and you've come to this belief that this strategy just doesn't work in your market. So you've now switched markets. I was like, bro, you did didn't do enough. I want you to go get out in the marketplace and get 100 no's before I'll even entertain the belief that what you're doing doesn't work. So that's a false belief that he had that made him go out and do something else and starting all over again. Huge mistake that I see investors make. Step 2, from there, I want you to pick a asset class. This is the type of property that you're going to be looking for. So for example, multifamily, storage, mobile home park, industrial. I don't really care what it is, something that you understand. We typically suggest that if you're starting completely new, that you start with multifamily because it tends to be the easiest for most people to understand. If you already have some sort of familiarity with some other asset class, then by all means, you'd be better served to do that one. We have a client that actually works as a manager for a mobile home park company. So naturally, we suggested that she focused on mobile home parks, and she already knows how to manage them. And she has the skill and information advantage in that asset class. And doing that, she went out and found 3 mobile home parks that she purchased. So basically what I'm saying here is if you have any information or knowledge advantage in a given asset class, then go and do that thing. Whatever you know the most about, go invest in that because that way you have less to learn. We also typically like multifamily properties over single family because it really doesn't require that much more effort than buying a single family property, but you get so many more doors. You get this economies of scale by buying these bigger properties. It's also just much easier to manage 40 unit apartment complex than it is to manage 40 separate single family houses that are spread out all over 3 counties. That's 40 different insurance payments and mortgage payments and property tax payments that you're having to make all the time. And then you're spread out all over the market. And I know that because that's the exact same mistake that I made. I spent 3.5 years buying a single family property on average every single month. And at the end of about 3.5 years, I had 40 properties stacked up and I had 40 different unique and specific headaches. It would have been so much smarter, a whole lot faster, and certainly more efficient to just buy one 40 unit apartment complex. I would have saved myself so much headache. I didn't jump into the commercial game faster because I thought I lacked the requisite experience. When in fact, really the same skills necessary for residential really port quite nicely over to multifamily. The process is largely the same. There are a few differences on balance. It's really the same general process. Okay, moving on to step number 3. Once you've picked your market and your asset class, it's time to go all in and pick your investment strategy. There are several to choose from, but basically I'd say they all fall into 3 fundamental categories. And I would describe those as a master lease, the second one being wholesaling, and the third one being buy and hold. So if you have some previous experience managing properties and you have some time, but maybe you're limited on money, then master leases could be a very good option for you. A master lease is where you find an owner who's willing to lease the property to you and then allows you to turn around and sublet it. You're basically offering to manage the property for the owner, so it requires some time and management experience. Now, if you're short on cash and you want to really hustle and create some cash quickly, we would recommend wholesaling to start off with. This is where you find a property at a wholesale discounted price and you get it under contract, and then you sell your contract out to a third party for a fee, which is referred to as an assignment fee. You're basically selling your right in this contract to somebody else to make some money. And once you decided on your market, your asset class, and your strategy, this becomes your single sole focus for the entire year. Don't branch out and experiment. Don't be persuaded by other people using different strategies. You can probably manage to make money in real estate in practically any market using any asset class and using nearly any strategy. If you really put your mind to it, you could find a way to make it work, provided that you had the right beliefs, traits, and skills. The problem is that you just don't have those yet. You don't have the know-how. You don't have the skills or the characteristics. But what you can do right now is adopt the most important character trait of all. In 1991, there was this huge dinner party filled with a bunch of billionaires where one of the guests went up to Bill Gates and to Warren Buffett, and he asked each of them individually, "What do you think is the secret for success?" And you know what they both said? They both said focus. Consistent focus is the single most important character trait that you can have for any type of business. And I like to think of focus as follow one course until successful. And if we go back to Alex from Mosy, he recently said that you must first become consistent before you become exceptional. And success is hard because it requires consistency, not complexity. Being successful, becoming the person who can be successful is kind of boring because you're having to do the same thing over and over again. And that's why the best way forward is to master one market, one asset class, and one strategy. Take those 3 things together and it's the power of one. By doing this, your results will speak for themselves before long, and your limiting beliefs will melt away because you've overcoming them because you're being consistent. Keep it simple, keep it dialed in and focused, and you will absolutely absolutely encounter a bunch of distractions along the way. And so your mission becomes to say no to those distractions that are so expensive. But rather than giving in to that shiny object syndrome, simply assess, could this opportunity actually create more value, or would I just be starting all over again? Is it worth the trade-off?
Once you've locked in the power of one, you can start seeing results in as little as 90 days by using a specific protocol that I've designed in our community. It's where you make use of my call 5, write 5 strategy and using our magic script to instantly start building your network and blow up your phone with deals. We actually just finished a 90-day challenge and the results were insane. Click the link below to join so you don't miss out on the next one.
And now that you know how to make the most out of real estate, click the video on the screen to learn why you're missing out if you don't get started right now. This is seriously the year that changes everything.